Yo, what's going on, everybody? How are we doing today? How's it hanging? How's it hanging? How's it hanging? Yep. Alright, give me 1 second. There we go. Hello. What's going on, y'all? Hope y'all are having a great Saturday afternoon. We got that good energy, that good vibe going on. Hope you're having a good freaking day. It is Saturday, November the 2nd. At least it is for me. I don't know what time it is, whether it is morning for you, afternoon for you, or night for you. Alls I know is I'm sending you that spirit bomb energy. We're going to get through it together. The weekend is here, baby. We're on it. And with the weekend comes another Hunter x Hunter chapter that I have like 20 pages of notes on in regards to all of the different moving parts that are going on in this chapter. And while it's one of the shorter chapters that have come out since the hiatus end, there was still plenty of different things to talk about, which I'm very excited to get into. I'm just putting it into my computer right now. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good day yourselves. What up, Pondan? What up, Mansoor? What's up, Crimson Titan? Word user, how we doing? What's up, King Kamui? That one Jaeger main. And that one MF who was the first to like the stream. Let's go. Everyone be like that one MF. Hit that like button. Feel nervous reading this arc. It's all going to end up in the worst case, isn't it? It potentially very much could. I think there is something that I'm going to discuss that definitely almost guarantees the death of one certain Phantom Troop member. And there potentially maybe more in this all-out war with the Haley and the spiders. It's not really looking good. This diversion, the diversion to the diversion of the Succession War, is absolutely insane. And the fact that we finally see real Hisoka, not that fake shit, none of that fake shit. We see real Hisoka. It's a good chapter to say the least. Bon Hisoka. Give me 1 second. Let me get my glasses because I can't see shit. Okay. Now I can read all of your beautiful messages. Apologies. But yeah, 405. What's it called again? Here, let me pull up the chapter. Masquerade. You already know what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to let everyone kind of pop in, everyone hang out for a little bit. We're going to kind of have a little bit of ice breaking as per usual. And then we're going to get into the full chapter summary, which we normally break into segments just because how much there genuinely is to talk about in regards to these certain chapters. But you already know I'm excited to get through all of it with you. I spent all last night and all morning kind of going through a bunch of different things. And I think we got a lot to talk about. So in Word, this ended up being a 5-page essay. And if you would have told me that my job would be writing 5-page essays about anime characters about like 10 years ago, I don't know what I would have said, honestly. Apples or oranges? Apples for sure. I'm an apples guy myself. I can't lie to you. I cannot lie to you. What's up, Prodigy? Get that art done. 405 is Gon's badge number in the Hunter exam, and there's Ahsoka. That's also a nice little touch that I didn't catch on either. There's a lot of hidden lore in this chapter that I'm very excited to get into with you. I may not have noticed all of it. I'll be completely real with you. I'm not perfect. I'll never tell anybody that I am, but I will say that there's a lot of hidden symbolism and a lot of hidden lore in this chapter that I'm excited to share with you guys. And if any of you guys noticed a little bit of tidbits that I didn't, I'd be happy to platform y'all and let y'all discuss and fill me in, because there's so much going on in this succession war, and it's honestly, it brings me back to Greed Island with all the different moving parts, and I love it. I am just getting the stream link for the second channel, and then you guys will have my full attention. Boom. On the second channel. By the way, just as a little segue, a little promo, I'm sorry, I know I'm annoying. You can hate me later if you want before we get into the chapter while we're waiting for everyone to show up. If you have not already, please go subscribe to the second channel. It would mean the absolute world to me, and it helps way more than you know. Genuinely speaking, it's a lot of fun to get some of these videos out. I mean, you've got, you know, Bleach videos, free run videos, Hunter x Hunter, of course, Bleach, Sakamoto Days, Kagurabachi, Dan to Dan. I post literally almost about every series that I read about. There are a couple things. You know, Chainsaw Man is on break, but, you know, we cover Chainsaw Man as well. Dan to Dan. We love it all. So please go subscribe to the second channel. It's No More Operator or No Operator 2. YouTube.com @NoOperator2. Go check it out. Show me some love. You want to know why? Because I love you. I'm just kidding. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not kidding. I do love you. That's rude to say. Thoughts on what prince Ahsoka could be with, or will you get into that later? I will be getting into that later, but that's a good question to ask, genuinely, because there's one I have in mind, and I think it could be Saradnik, especially with the fact that we know the three mafia families, or at least the two mafia families, the Shiyu and the Ka'ar, or however much. I know people were yelling at me for how to pronounce that, but I'm going to call it Kara, and I'm you know, people can get mad at me if they need to, or someone can correct me. But they do say that they pretty much have the okay from Prince Rodnik, who is the benefactor of the Haley family, normally, to take down the Haley family because they'd be acting up, they'd be going crazy. So it's possible that Ahsoka could have joined the same way that everybody else got on the Black Whale, right? He could have taken a quote-unquote bodyguard position and is just acting, you know, rogue. And who would be a prince that would allow one of their hired hunters to go rogue? Probably one of the more antagonistic princes that of the Succession War, which in my opinion would probably be Saradnik. But I could be wrong, you know what I mean? It really could be anyone. I mean, Benjamin probably didn't need to hire any hunters. Camilla didn't need to hire any hunters. Zhang Lei, we know, hired whoever he hired. I don't think he would have hired Ahsoka. Maybe he could have. What's the verse most comparable to Hunter x Hunter in terms of power? I mean, in certain layers, you've got, like, verses like Jujutsu Kaisen that's pretty close to Hunter x Hunter, but there are characters that heavily overbalance Jujutsu Kaisen in that battle, but there are also characters like Meruem who heavily, you know, go over the brim for a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen characters. So it depends. It's Tyson, Trust. I don't know about that. It could be Tyson. They have similar personalities, but Do you think Frollo, Hisoka, and Kurapika will bump into each other? It's probably not likely to happen, but I can imagine an amazing panel where it's just them bumping into each other. That would be funny. I do want to discuss what would happen if Kurapika and Hisoka meet, because previously they were able to become friends or friendly due to their allegiance against the Phantom Troop. And technically speaking, they still have every reason to be against the Phantom Troop together. So blessed to be living through the best arc in shonen history. And Togashi is not giving up. Togashi is not giving up at all. Togashi is going strong. He posted a picture of 426 the other day, did he not? That he completed at least the character portion of that, which is just insane. He's on a rampage. He's on a roll. And I couldn't be any happier that Togashi is just killing it. Even if we have a slight, small little, you know, week or two break between the chapters just to let them cook and let them finish off everything with his assistants helping him, I mean, we're back, baby. And it doesn't show any signs of slowing anytime soon. I'm happy. How many arcs do you think are left in Hunter x Hunter? I mean, it depends. The Dark Continent is definitely going to be a large arc that takes place after the Succession War. The Succession War is, funnily enough, as intricate and as crazy as it is literally just the transitionary phase between the regular world and the Dark Continent, because after we finish the Succession War, we have everything that has to do with Dark Continent and whatever the fuck is gonna go on in there. Now, granted, there's a couple different ways that things could go. Obviously, Gon has lost his Nen, and a lot of people think that Gon is done, his story is done. Granted, you could argue his story is done because Gon found his father. What more reason do you have for Gon to be included in the story? But I would argue that that's not true, because you could always say that Gon could get his Nen back. Even his father says that his Nen isn't completely gone for good. It's just that whatever happened significantly took away his Nen, and I'm sure there's other ways that he could get Nen back, or if Gon could find a way to still continually be a hunter and go on hunter-like adventures. Gon is that kind of tenacious. He's like his father Jing. There's no way that he would just let a debilitation like that stop him. Talking about Gon or Gon? I don't know. Look, listen. Leave me alone. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce that. How else am I supposed to pronounce G-O-N? But there is still Gyro, for real. Or Gyro. I don't... Am I pronouncing Gyro wrong? Is it something else? Gon didn't lose his Nen. He just has no access to it. There you go. Either way. You have the theory that Pariston and Gyro are connected in some way, shape, or form. That's how Pariston was able to get a hold of the Chimera Ant eggs that he has, or the Chimera Ant soldiers. Gyro is currently an anomaly. We know that him and Gon are tied by fate. They almost encountered each other when they were in the city before the Chimera Ant Palace invasion, because Gyro had separated completely from the Chimera Ant Queen and the Chimera Ant Kingdom due to his overwhelming sense of self and hatred for humanity and hatred of all things existence. It wouldn't surprise me if someone like Gyro would be partnering with Marina. You know what I mean? Or how crazy would it be if Marina was the incarnation that this new Gyro took? This want to destroy everything and this Nen ability called Contagion that would spread chaos throughout the world in any way possible. I mean, we get in this arc, even though Marina is a, illegitimate child or an illegitimate sister of Nasubi, they don't really know where she came from. So what if that was the case? Obviously, I'm stretching. That's really just headcanon. I really doubt that. But it's funny to think that Pariston, the Chimera Ants. Hey, what's up, China Doll? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Happy to see you. I don't think the spiders will die on the ship. I think they'll get redeemed from villain to hero. After all, Gyro and Meteor City's connected. I can see the spider dying versus Gyro. That's a very good point that Gyro and Meteor City is definitely connected. Although, I think one of these things that I bring up later when we get into the chapter summary in regards to a certain Phantom Troop member may indeed change your mind in regards to if someone's going to die. Hey, China Doll, thank you so much for the 5 gifted members. I appreciate the love as always. Always happy to see you in chat. I'm glad you could catch a stream. The last time I saw you in the messages when the stream died, when we were playing Don't Starve, you just made it right before the stream died. I felt so bad. So I'm glad you were able to make this one nice, bright, and early. A few spiders defo dying. It really could go either way. The fortune on Shizuku, hey, you get it. You understand. You know exactly what I'm about to get into. Crollo aiming for Camilla's Nen power makes a lot of sense. There's no way of coming back to life with that. Both your body and soul is getting crushed and extracted. High IQ move. That's actually a really good point, I'm a Warrior. I was going to get into and ask a lot of questions as to what potentially Crollo could be searching for, what Nen ability he's going for. But Prince Camilla's Nen ability makes a lot of sense. Having the ability to just literally not die. Like, that's literally insane. That would be a really good ability to steal. Although Crollo's condition and Camilla's Nen ability are kind of annoying because wouldn't Crollo have to have the book page open when he died in order to enact the ability? Or I guess it's something that he would always be able to store with his bookmark, right? Like he would, if he was ever in like a really tenacious situation or fight, he could always have his bookmark set on the Camilla page and then fight with whatever page he has open. That'd be a big disadvantage, but at least he'd be able to, if he ever died, he would immediately be able to come back and steal the life of... It's kind of like an auto life ability. Like if you don't have it on, it doesn't work passively. You literally have to have it activated in order for it to work. And if it's not activated, then it wouldn't work, which I guess would be a great condition, you know? It might even be a condition that potentially empowers the Nen. Enough that Crollo is able to use it like he's able to use the Nen ability from the leader of Meteor City. But yeah, Gyro, gone. Even if I'm pronouncing that wrong. They are fated to meet at one point in time, so it's possible we could get another arc outside of the Dark Continent, but at the same time, there's also a good chance that Togashi is somehow able to merge these arcs. He's able to merge the Dark Continent with Gon's final moment. And I mean, imagine we do have that checkpoint where once we drop the Kaken Empire off on the new continent, which who knows how that is even going to go, considering that I don't think Nasubi and the other Kaken princes will be dumb enough to get tricked into not going onto the real Dark Continent, or maybe they will. Maybe there won't be anyone left from the Kaken Empire after the Succession War, and it's not even something they'll have to worry about. They'll just pick up Morel, Nav, and any other hunters from the checkpoint and move on their way. And perhaps maybe Gon found a way to substitute his Nen or fight some way besides his Nen, or even just unlock his Nen and actually fight with Morel and Nav. That would be really cool and a good way to reintroduce him to the Dark Continent at the perfect time. We still don't even know where Jing and Pariston are, to be completely honest with you, right? We have no idea where Jing and Pariston, whether they're on the ship at like a very double VIP dorm room or something on the Black Whale. Are they taking their own transportation in order to get to the Dark Continent separate from Beyond, or are they part of the group that's going to break Beyond out? And or is Jing Pariston one of the people that Beyond wants to meet on the Black Whale? There's a bunch of different ways that the story of Hunter x Hunter can go after the Succession War. Kurapika's story, technically his major arc ends with the death of Saradnik and the retrieval of his final Kurta clan eyes. And with the way that Kurapika is using Emperor time, there's a good chance that after retrieving his Kurta clan eyes, Kurapika is just done. Kurapika is going to croak, his time is going to run out, or it's going to run out just before he gets those Kurta clan eyes, or is able to beat Saradnik in a very tragic end. And maybe that's just me always assigning tragic ends to people. I'm sorry that I do that. I hope Kurapika achieves his goal. That would be amazing. But even Togashi has said that Kurapika's fate is kind of shaky at this very moment. Isn't there a theory that the Gate Guardians could be Kurta, meaning this trip is Kurapika's homecoming? I know there's a bunch of theories in regards to the Kurta clan coming directly from the Dark Continent with their scarlet eyes and their supernatural tendencies, but I honestly don't know too much about that. I would have to look into it. I still haven't personally read Hunter x Hunter Zero, Kurapika's departure, and the start of his journey and how he began and originated. So I'm definitely missing key context in regards to that I should definitely read at some point soon. And I forgive anyone who is missing key context, or I'm missing key context on because not having that information. But am I late? Nope, you haven't. You just made it. We haven't even started talking about the chapter yet. But if the Gate Guardians do tie into the Dark Continent and the Kurta clan, and that would be a perfect way to segue Kurapika into the Dark Continent and make him relevant and make his story continue on, because there is a heavy potential that with, again, like I said, the collection of the last Kurta clan eyes, that's the end of Kurapika's story, just like it was the end of Gon's story with finding and meeting Jing, even if Jing didn't stay for very long. Now, granted, you could argue if there's more information about his clan on the Dark Continent, as well as somehow Pariston is actually allied with someone like Gyro, and that brings Gon somehow by fate either to a way to get his Nen back and onto the Dark Continent with Morel and Nav, or however he gets there. Gon's own grandfather, that's even the reason why Jing is interested in the Dark Continent, right? Don Freaks, the one that wrote the Book of the West and is theorized to be writing the Book of the East, or I might have that backwards or reversed, but you get what I mean when I say that the Freaks family has direct ties to the Dark Continent as well. So if Kurapika is able to bring his family ties back there, it also makes sense why Gon would be able to bring his family ties back there, especially if Togashi is able to introduce Gyro into the whole Pariston deal, which would not only put Pariston at perfect odds with Jing, which we know they've been kind of going back and forth for this entire time, as much as Jing is winning over Pariston's men and winning over Pariston's operation and just full-on usurping all power from him, Pariston is slowly biding his time and is already tried to kill Jing or get an upper hand on Jing once, so it'll be interesting to see how he stretches to become a villain in the future, whether that be, again, working with that Chimera Ant, or again, my crazy headcanon that Marina Prudo is Gyro due to them both wanting nothing more than to destroy everything and just create pure chaos, although I think that would be stretching things a little too much. Either way, I'm interested to see what Togashi has in store for us after the Succession War. I couldn't even tell you what is on the Dark Continent and how much content could be there for us to consume. I mean, just the Dark Continent alone could be another Chimera Ant level arc with 100 plus to potentially 200 plus chapters of story, with just the introduction of getting onto the continent, all of the different, just if Succession War is already this complicated, imagine all the different moving pieces of the Dark Continent. You have all the different monsters and all the different curses and different crazy things that can come from the Dark Continent. But what about the different tribes? What if there are people that live there, like the Kurta clan or other things that are heavily invested in? Imagine there's a society that we find of ancient artifacts or ancient peoples that have their own conspiracies. There's so many, and obviously I'm just yapping about nothing, but there's so many different ways that the Dark Continent alone can play, let alone you have great villains like Beyond Netero taking the full frontal role in the Dark Continent, who has basically been playing a back seat this whole entire time. I really do think and wonder what Togashi has in store for us. And even then, whether the Succession War ends in 20 chapters, whether the Succession War ends in 50 chapters, This has been a great ride, and the amount of effort Togashi has put into this makes me think that whatever reason Togashi has to bring characters like Kurapika further into the Dark Continent are gone, or even bring people like Killua back somehow, he's gonna make it so integral to their stories and a great way to cap off everything that I truly believe the Dark Continent will finalize everything. I really don't see us having such a great and spectacular adventure outside of the bounds of known reality and going into the great unknown for what will probably be hundreds of chapters. And then afterwards, Togashi goes, all right, remember Gon and Gyro? Let's get back into it. Now, granted, did Togashi do that with Breed Island and Chimera Ant and then just go right back to Kurapika? Yes. Do I see him doing that again? Honestly, you know what? He's a little unpredictable, but with the state of how he is, I would imagine it makes more sense to fuse everything together for one big climax on the Dark Continent, which is really what every hunter has been going for, rather than have this crazy great journey on the Dark Continent and then, oh my god, back at home, Gyro took over while we were gone. Even though that is possible, I do think depending on what Togashi does, he does have 4 different endings planned out for the series, right? So we already got D, which is Gon being alive and trying to raise a granddaughter to be a hunter even though she doesn't want to. And there's 3 more endings that Togashi has that he's striving for. Whether or not that means taking different routes with the story, we won't know until we find out. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that in regards to like where the series can go after Hunter x Hunter, honestly. As for that, we're definitely going to get into the chapter summary very, very soon. Peak Togashi, I love the spiders, but I'm so immersed with the Succession War that I want a fast return to the princes. Yeah, right, it is interesting how, like, even with the crazy, all the moving pieces of the Succession War, there's still this underground war between the spiders and the Hei Lee going on, and the different mafia families, that I think is definitely going to play some kind of role in the Succession War, because now we have multiple characters that have mentioned the balance of the mafia family potentially making its chaos up to the Succession War. And Hisoka's already up there, so yeesh. All right. Battle Olympia? What the hell is Battle Olympia? Contest that takes place on the 251st floor of the Heavens Arena. This event only open to floor masters. The event is also used as a selling point to try and entice new competitors. Oh, is that from a movie? Hunter x Hunter: The Last Mission. I need to watch these. I need to watch these movies. Didn't they just come out on Netflix or something? Didn't they just come out on Netflix? Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to watch both of those. We should do a little movie night. That'd be cool. I haven't seen either Hunter x Hunter movie. Movies kind of suck. Hey, I've never seen them before. Okay, guys. let's stop putzing around. Let's get into the big summary of the chapter. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely let me know. But I'm gonna get into everything, and please, feel free. I've got plenty of notes to get through, and it might take me a little time to find some of the extra pages that I need to find. But that being said, I appreciate every single one of you guys, and if you haven't already, hit that like button. Sincerely. I sincerely appreciate you more than anything in the world. And honestly, this has become one of my favorite series so quickly just to talk about. Movies aren't canon. Fair. Most anime movies aren't, honestly, nowadays. First movie has Kurapika's backstory. Okay. Spider has more relevance in the story compared to Hisoka, so I guess Hisoka will legit die in the ship. So that's something I definitely want to get into, for sure. But yeah, so it's no surprise that this chapter focuses a lot on Hisoka, and not the fake Hisoka that we get confirmed we saw a couple chapters ago in, I believe, 393 or 4. But this is the real Hisoka that is here playing some version of Poker Solitaire, which, if you're not familiar with Poker Solitaire, most normal people play Texas Hold'em, where you play with a big group of people. Poker Solitaire is like solo gambling, where like you are given 25 different cards, I believe, and you flip them over and you try to guess all the different combinations, and you either win by guessing really lucky, or you basically are a cold and calculated strategist, like, someone counting cards in blackjack, which I believe Hisoka definitely has the brain capacity for, which is why he's playing a very solo, simple game, which kind of goes into exactly what he's mentioning later on as he's discussing how he's super vanilla, as he calls it, or super fair. Right now, he's kind of acting and playing very cool. He hasn't attacked anyone. He hasn't started a riot, even though he has full power to do so. I mean, right now, he's fully on tier 1 with no supervision whatsoever. And a Hisoka with no supervision is scary enough on its own. Even a Lumi can't control this guy sometimes. So, seeing him play a solo poker game is interesting and goes into the dynamic that he brings up, that the group battle, quote unquote, most likely talking about the succession war and the different princes fighting amongst tier 1. Because remember, he's right in the middle of the war zone. And the fact that he hasn't decided to fight any of these strong people or interfere shows so much self-control on Ahsoka's part. And it also shows how little interest he has in any of these princes, and none of them are clearly high on his rating. Hulkenberg was probably the only person that really tipped off Ahsoka's radar, but the moment that he discovered that it was like a group-built Nen ability, because we know that Possession Arrow basically creates its power off of sapping all of the different Nen off of Hulkenberg's followers from the feathers that awaken their aura nodes, Hisoka immediately goes, boring, I don't want any part of that, I'm done with this whole succession war, all these different princes don't interest me at all. Although I doubt he's probably met Sir Rodnik or someone like Benjamin. I'm sure they might interest Hisoka, but I digress. Hisoka doesn't want to deal with this group succession all-out war. He wants to slowly focus on 1v1s. And that also makes me question why he's here at all. Because if Hisoka is really on the Black Whale to take the Phantom Troop down completely, is he going to just pick them off one by one and fight them in their either weakest moments, or fight them and make them bring out the best of their ability to test them all? How is he going to be able to separate them? They're usually almost always in a group. I mean, even Kenny Wang, sorry if I mispronounce his first name, but one of the underbosses of the Shiyu is kind of frustrated with the Phantom Troop specifically because even when doing his best to try and split them up while they're chasing the Haley, they all stick together. So the belief that Hisoka is going to be able to get them apart is hard enough to believe, but let alone that Hisoka is so dedicated to this that he contracted Illumi, one of the only people that he would probably call a friend anymore, to kill him, which has now forced Illumi to ally himself with the Phantom Troop. Hisoka rated Illumi a 9.5 way back in the Zodiac arc, and that was a rating that was higher than most of the Zodiacs themselves. So not only is Hisoka not interested in the Zodiacs, they bore him, he's not interested in the Succession War people, he's barely as it is interested in the Phantom Troop, and Illumi is probably like the best outcome he has besides fighting Chrollo again, and we'll talk about Chrollo later. But what is Hisoka's main point on the Black Whale, and how does he fit into not just the Succession War, since he's not even interested in it, but how does he fit into the Dark Continent and all of the things going forward? Hey, China Doll, thank you so much for the 5 gifted members. Again, thank you for the love. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hisoka's the wildest wild card in manga history. So true. You can't argue Hisoka's less relevant. He's basically a protagonist. I mean, you're not wrong. He's definitely one of the most important characters in the series, but my thing is, where does he fit into everything going forward? Having Hisoka as a wild card in the Dark Continent would be absolutely amazing. I'm not saying he wouldn't make things very fun, but I feel like with villains such as Beyond Netero, and currently villains like Sorodnik and Marina, and who knows what the hell else is going to be going on in the Dark Continent, do we really need a monster like Hisoka roaming the woods? Or the most tragic way to see this guy go would be him watching Hisoka get killed by something on the Dark Continent, just to prove how terrifying the Dark Continent is. As scary as that would make the Dark Continent, that would just be so upsetting to me as Hisoka's fan. His only fan, by the way, I remind you. So Hisoka loves his 1v1s. We know this. This is no surprise. So he's not invested in the Succession War. He doesn't care about any of the Nen abilities that have awoken from any of the princes. He doesn't care about any of their guard and spirit beasts. He specifically says and mentions how animals don't interest him. It also makes me question, is the troop even going to be able to satisfy him? So with all of Hisoka's good toys broken, Gon doesn't have Nen anymore. I don't think Hisoka was really ever interested in Killua, and if not, we don't even know where Killua went as of this point. Hisoka may somehow have some ties to Kurapika, and if he does, right now, they still oppose the troop together. They still have every reason to be working together. And Hisoka was never really interested in Kurapika as a fight. I did make a video on my main channel in regards to if Hisoka and Kurapika were to get onto a conflict in this Black Whale voyage, who would win. And while it's a very close fight, definitely go check out the video if you're interested in that on the main channel. Hisoka and Kurapika right now have every reason to be on the same side. And the fact that they are on the same tier means they could pass each other and find each other. Now, would Hisoka be interested in Kurapika now as the leader of a mafia family, basically the shadow leader of their bodyguard, and basically a whole new man from the last time we saw Kurapika before Chimera Ant and before Greed Island? Who knows? But with Chrollo potentially being Hisoka's biggest threat on the boat, as he sees it, if Hisoka wins, is this Hisoka's last hurrah? Is this like a final go down? There's no one left that can give me a great time, so I'm going to go to the Dark Continent and find something that can kill me, or I'm hoping that I can have the fight of my life and actually die in this moment. Although, obviously, with Hisoka's post-mortem nen that he did before, we know dying isn't exactly in his greatest ideas either. So I'm really curious how Hisoka will fit into the arcs and the future of Hunter x Hunter going forward. But one thing that Bonanalov, which I'm going to call Bono because I'm not going to keep trying to pronounce that name going forward, kind of questions is he wonders if Hisoka was able to get to tier 1 through a prince. And the reason he thinks that is because we remember a couple chapters back, it was the Mafia's main goal to separate Hisoka from the Phantom Troop. They were two key elements that were going to disrupt the balance of the Kaken Empire underground, and they didn't want these two elements to match and become a chaotic reaction. So Chrollo took advantage of this by having Bonalov use his Metamorphosis Nen ability, which the way that it works is Bono can transform himself into any person that he has laid eyes on or seen. The longer that he's seen them, the longer that the duration of his transformation can last. Now, there is no restriction to Bono getting shorter, getting taller. He can match whatever description he needs to. However, if there is a height difference, that just shortens the duration of the transformation. That is the Nen condition. But it's a very helpful ability, which confirms the theory that everyone had that the Hisoka that we saw a long time ago was not the real Hisoka, and we know that for a fact now. The Hisoka that Lynch, Fullboko, and Sakura Custard met was obviously Bono in disguise, which I have to give Bono a round of applause. I gotta give him an award because man did a great job. Oscar-worthy performance, and honestly, he matched Hisoka's aura perfectly. I honestly couldn't have told the difference. Now going back, I think it's a little bit more clear, but either way, gotta give it to him. Now, Lynch was the girl, a member of the Shiyu family who had the Nen ability Body and Soul, where she was able to punch someone when she asked them a question and they were unable to lie to her. They had to tell her the truth. Although Bono finds out a neat little trick with Body and Soul, and that's even though you can't lie to her, you, or Lynch, I should say, is the only person that hears the admittance of the truth. Because even though Hisoka, or Bono Soka, immediately takes out Lynch, Sakura was right there and within hearing range. He didn't know that that wasn't Hisoka, which made the perfect opportunity for Hisoka to not only, one, knock out Zakuro right after that, but transform into Zakuro, wait for Lynch to wake up, and when Lynch was like, oh my god, that's not Hisoka, we have to rat him out, he's definitely a troop member or a Hey family member, let's go, he goes, oh, well, that's a shame. Bono Zakuro kills Lynch, then transforms into Lynch, and has Zakuro, when he wakes up, take Bono Lynch to the theater, where he then transforms back into Hisoka in time for Heinrich to go all the way back and meet up with Hisoka and give him the pass to tier 1. Because, again, the Shiyu family and Kara family do not want Hisoka and the Phantom Troop to meet and fight on board, because that will just disrupt the entire power balance of everything. They would much rather, again, as we know, have the Phantom Troop take down the Hey, as they're currently coordinating with right now, and have them take out each other, and then Hisoka can either fuck off after that or take out, you know, the remainder of whatever's left. Now, Zakuro was the one who had the Nen ability Bloody Mary, which was allowing him to manipulate his blood and turn it into, you know, small, tiny, different organisms that were able to survey long-range distances, or he could fight people close range with, like, blood swords and everything like that. So, while he was a high-ranking member of the Shiyu family, it does show why Hisoka, or even Bono, and because he was the one that took them out so easily, it makes sense why Hisoka wouldn't be interested in any of the family members, despite the fact that Heinrich, in the conversation with fake Hisoka, Bano Soka, as they're meeting in the theater. I know this gets a little confusing. I'm sorry if it does. Heinrich talking to Bano Soka, thinking it's Hisoka, says that the Shiyu family would kill Hisoka and beat him in a fight. And Bano Soka says, oh, okay, well, do you think that the Phantom Troop would beat me in a fight as well? And Heinrich goes, yeah, I'm on their side. I think they would beat you. And this quote-unquote Hisoka, even though it's Bano, is like, oh, I'm impressed with your honesty. Obviously, we know now that was Bano. So he goes, oh, great, you're a loyal person. You are on our side. So the idea for Bano to disguise himself as Hisoka definitely paid off, because not only was Bano able to get a direct access and ticket to Tier 1, Chrollo knew that the real Hisoka would probably be on Tier 1 as well. So now that Bano has confirmed that, the rest of the troop just needs to get to Tier 1, whether after they deal with the Haley or not, and then they can all take down Hisoka together. And whether that interferes with the succession contest or not, it's right on Tier 1, so it will involve one prince or another for sure. Now, I kind of mentioned it before, which Bano thinks it could be a prince, but where did the real Hisoka get his Tier 1 pass from? If it is a prince, it's possible that Hisoka could have been a hunter that was employed by one of the higher tier princes, just like someone like Bellorante or another hunter that wasn't a part of Kurapika's group, even though all of them were separately hired by different princes. It makes sense that Hisoka would be able to easily fall into line with one of the more antagonistic princes, especially with the fact that he's acting rogue and just simply playing poker. Now, we do know that Kenny Wang, as I mentioned before, got full confirmation from Sorodnik, the benefactor of the Haley family, that the Shiyu and Kara families, sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of the family names, are more than okay to engage the Haley in war and assassinate Morena, simply because Sorodnik will no longer finance them due to their betrayal. They're obviously not following the Kakin underground rules, so Sorodnik has cut them off, besides the fact that Sorodnik doesn't give a shit about anything else but training Nen right now. He cut them off completely. So, if Sorodnik also hired a hunter, it's possible that that hunter could be Hisoka, who's able to go rogue and is helping Sorodnik take down the Haley. I mean, we do know that the connection the Haley had to Sorodnik's personal guard, the liaison, went quiet. They were taken out. How was that person found out? Who was that person killed by? We don't know, but it could have been Hisoka. Obviously, this is just headcanon. This is just a theory. We don't know how Hisoka, the real Hisoka, got to Tier 1, but if it was a prince, it could be anybody, but it makes sense if he's acting rogue and not even protecting that prince and not even having any kind of role in the succession war at all. It would be a prince that cares less about the succession war than anyone else. And if you think about it, no one on the Kurapika side was able to get a hold of Sorodnik's guard. So it's only hunters that Salkov and Theta, who don't really know too much or wouldn't suspect Hisoka. Who knows? We're just spitballing at this point. What's good, Savage? You're not alone. I'm a Hisoka fan in secret, can't admit that. Hey, Chandal is also a fan. We love that. Hisoka's rating's not accurate, let's be honest. That's why he got humiliated versus Chrollo. You don't scale how strong someone is like that. The Zodiacs are the most elite, strongest hunters. I wouldn't say Hisoka got humiliated by Chrollo. I definitely wouldn't put that much hate on his bone. I mean, Hisoka was able to match almost every single thing that Chrollo did until Chrollo just overwhelmed him entirely. I think Hisoka did a pretty good job in that. Beauty of Hisoka is he doesn't fit into the story, period. You can kill him off at any moment and nothing would change. Good point. Hisoka and Netero aren't different when it comes to mindsets. I can see Hisoka going to the Dark Continent just cuz. Do you think Chrollo would fight White Drake? The Phantom Troop's backstory was revealed hinting something very personal is going to happen. It's possible. I do think we do get hints to Chrollo and the Phantom Troop's backstory in this chapter, and I'll be getting into it actually as we talk about Chrollo. Hey yo, Tiberius, thanks for being a member for 19 months. I remember when If You Know You Know was about the strongest sorcerer in history versus the strongest sorcerer around. It hasn't even been that long. It's only been like a month. Thank you for your love and support. So Bano was told not to engage Hisoka if he finds him in tier 1 and just change into someone else and wait for Chrollo to arrive, which he does on command because Bano even admits that Hisoka is a bad matchup for him. Which, again, makes me wonder why Hisoka is after the entire Phantom Troop as a whole if he's really looking for excitement. Bano mentions there's apparently some secret and specific treasure that Chrollo is looking for on the Black Whale that is going to be the page in Chrollo's skill hunter that is everything Chrollo will need in order to actually kill Hisoka. Now, someone brought up a really good point in chat earlier that this Nen ability, because one big question is what this Nen ability could possibly be. Out of all the sprawling different Hatsu going on in just the Succession War and the Black Whale alone, could it be a Guardian Spirit Beast? Could it be one of the Prince's Nen abilities? Someone brought up a really good point that Prince Camilla's Nen ability that allows the way to die and then steal someone else's life to resuscitate yourself would be a great potential thing for Chrollo to steal. Now, obviously, we don't know if that's the case, but any of these, whatever Nen ability that Chrollo deems worthy enough to actually put Hisoka in the dirt and actually make sure Hisoka stays dead has to be something deadly. It could even possibly relate to Nasubi, the Emperor of Kaken itself, with how high Chrollo usually sets his sights. I mean, we know Chrollo was really only able to get such an advantage over Hisoka in the Heavens Arena due to the fact that he had Kortapi's Gallery Fake ability, which allowed him to create duplicate inanimate objects and get a very big numbers overwhelming advantage over Hisoka, as well as Shalnark's Black Foam manipulation, which kept Hisoka at bay because one prick of the black phone antenna and you're cooked, because manipulation, as Balsamico, rest in peace, always brought up, was first come, first served. Now, with both of them dead, Chrollo doesn't really have that handicap anymore. I'm sure you could argue that he's still got great skills, and he's also a very intelligent man. Chrollo did not become one of the strongest hunters that was able to take on 2 Zoldyck assassins at once for nothing. But again, whatever ability this is, it explains why Chrollo would go so far to steal this ability, not for one, knowing that everything previously that he didn't work and Hisoka was still able to survive, and it almost ended up with Machi dead as well as Shalnark and Kortapi, who actually died. But with the way that Bano specifically worries about this and mentions that all of the Phantom Troop members want to kill Hisoka first, because if Chrollo steals that Nen ability, whatever this treasure is on the Black Whale, and uses it against Hisoka, if they're so worried about it, is it possible it could be a death ability? If it is Camilla's ability, maybe working for Chrollo with Skill Hunter, it won't revive him. Or maybe it is something entirely different that will result in Chrollo's death, but also take Hisoka out with him. I mean, would Chrollo really sacrifice himself for this? I mean, as someone who cares about his troop members enough to turn Meteor City as a whole into a town for criminals and death dealers just to get revenge on one childhood murderer? I mean, who knows how far Chrollo would go for Shalnark, who was an original member, Kortapi, and if you really think about it, you could also tie Yuvo's death to Hisoka, because Hisoka created these specific conditions for Yuvo to die by Kurapika's hand. And also, not for nothing, if you put Yuvo's death on Kurapika and Hisoka's hands, you can also put Paku's death on Hisoka's hands. And Paku was one of the closest people to Chrollo, especially from the very beginning. I mean, just back in the Phantom Troop flashback that we got a couple chapters ago, After the wholesome years all of them spend just like fan dubbing old cartoons and bonding with just insane stories of glamour and heroics, they all just become crazy, jaded serial killers legitimately overnight after the death of their friend Sarasa. And they unfortunately had to watch the filmed murder of her in a snuff film, and it was enough to change Crollo, and by proxy, over the years of this, changing Meteor City into a denizen for where these people could roam and eventually draw in and lure back these murderers so they could take their revenge after they play Sarasa's murder. It just changed them all into criminals, these people that use violence to get what they want. And it makes sense that if they were willing to endure this long-term and large-scale change of not just their environment but their history and their futures just for the death of one girl, what would they do for the death of 4 members? What would Crollo do for the death of 4 people closest to him, all on one? Who's to say he wouldn't give up his life, as you could argue metaphorically he already has? I mean, not for nothing, speaking of Sarasa, we do. Hold on. Let me get the page specifically. We get this page specifically, this lone page of Crollo walking amongst a crowd of people talking about this commemoration of this person that died long ago. And I think after confirming a couple different panels and after confirming a couple different things with a couple different people, I think it's safe to say we can confirm that this person that they're commemorating is almost guaranteed the person that killed Sarasa. Which, if this person died in this way that supposedly their murder is being covered up, it confirms that the Phantom Troupe was able to accomplish their deed of getting revenge on this person that killed Sarasa. But not only that, if this is the reason why they walked this path, and consume themselves with darkness, it proves that even after fulfilling their goal, they still continued down this path and never looked back. It's also possible that sure, Sarasa wasn't killed by just this one dude, and there's still accomplices and other conspirators that the Phantom Troupe is looking for, and they're never going to settle until it's over. But it honestly lays a really good point that Crollo and the Phantom Troupe changed that day, and changed in a way that was irreversible. Now, while you could say that as well, that these group of criminals and bandits are all bad, evil murderers, you could argue that they did some good. I mean, it is disgusting to think that this person was a head of an organization that was quote-unquote helping underprivileged youth and children, where it was all just a front to create snuff films for kids that they kidnapped, for undesirables that would never get found later. I mean, spit on that person's grave. Fuck that person. So I'm not saying that they haven't taken out good people, or they haven't taken out bad people, but again, they're also responsible for the Kurta clan massacre and taking out all those people in New York New. Now, it's always good to have one less scumbag on the face of the earth, but what's the, justified reason that they had to assassinate the entire clan of Kurta people? Who knows? Were they contracted by someone else? Was it all to get closer to Sarasa's murderer? What did they do this for? We still don't know. But, dare I say, I'm very interested to find out. Because the only person I'm willing to accept and accept redemption for killing their clan is Itachi Uchiha. No one else. I think Chrollo will steal an ability we already saw. Now, whose ability would be better to make someone stay dead? Exorcism of Post-Nen and Force Zetsu like Karapika? Huh. Yeah, Karapika's Stealth Dolphin or is a Steel Chain. It's a really good way. I brought that up in the Hisoka vs. Karapika video. Ability has to be a counter type for Bungee Gum. Saradnik's tattoo artist is apparently linked to the murder of Sarasa as well. Don't forget this tattoo artist. Everything might lead to an all-out war with the Haley family since that dude is connected to Marina and also connected to Sari. Hey, there you go. We also get confirmation that Pakunoda number 9 has specifically not been replaced by Chrollo this entire time. Which is an interesting thing that Bono brings up. Because apparently Bono guesses why number 9 hasn't been replaced. And other numbers have been replaced before. We see Illumi, we see Kaluto, the Zoldyck members come in. And my question is, speaking of, is this Hisoka's last hurrah? Is this Chrollo's last hurrah? If this Nen ability really is something that can kill Hisoka and the rest of the Phantom Troop is worried that it might be the death of Chrollo or it might cost the sacrifice of him, is Chrollo looking to disband the Phantom Troop after this? I mean, think about it. This is one of the first times they've all met up since York knew, and it might be the last time this is their last mission. Or is there something that Bono knows that we don't? I mean, we know that even Neo Nostrad's Hatsu was gone from Chrollo's book, right? So there are things moving on in the background that we really don't know about. Karapika could have freed her from that Nen contract that was stealing her Nen ability, or Neon somehow died going on in the background. Why do I bring that up at all? Sure, Chrollo and Shizuku bring it up. But it's interesting that Shizuku, of all people, would bring up Neon's fortune randomly out of this. It's a fun little trait to talk about what's going on in the background, but let me remind you of Shizuku specifically, her fortune that Chrollo read. Because while you could argue that York knew was where all of their fortunes ended and they changed fate, let's talk about this for a second. The calendar loses a component. 12 months. 12 spiders. There's 12 spiders, 12 months on the calendar. You could argue that was for Yuvo, but let's continue, because remember, we also are here for the mourning of Kortapi and Shalnar. The remaining months gather to mourn, and this is the first time the troop has been together since York knew. As an offering, you join an ally to keep him from being lonely. Now, in York knew this didn't really make much sense, but if we look at this fortune taking this specific moment in time into consideration, Chrollo was going to be alone, and Shizuku specifically asked to join Chrollo. Now, Bono turned into Hisoka and left, so it's just Shizuku and Chrollo now. You will find eternal rest in a room filled with black merchandise. Who knows what that could mean, but they're on the Black Whale, and if the troop is about to fight the Mafia, the Haley, or end up on tier 1, who knows, there could be treasures, there could be black market goods. The final sentence says, beware solitude above all. You have the most fear when you are alone with another. Hisoka does love a one-on-one. Hisoka does love and potentially intends to pick off the Phantom Troop members one by one throughout the voyage of the Black Whale. Could that mean Shizuku's death at the hand of Hisoka? Even while Chrollo's right there to help, or while another troop member is there to save her, they're unable to. It honestly could mean a lot of different things, but no matter what happens in this interaction with Hisoka, or even in this big war that's about to potentially happen with the Haley, it's possible we may get the death of a Phantom Troop member, one at least, potentially more. Bono did a big mistake by becoming one of the Shadow Beasts. A lot of people from the Mafia will recognize him. That's also a very good point, that the person that Bono turns into is one of the Shadow Beasts. The guy who had the previous ability of Fun Fun Cloth, actually. Nah, because Shinnok's fortune came true, so I feel like Shizuku's will. Yeah. I think being left alone in any area with Hisoka is just bad news. Bono and Hisoka are now both on tier 1, and not only that, Bono is trying to handle this by himself while Hisoka's best on 1v1 combat. And also you have Franklin, who decided to stay in the cafeteria and wait for Hisoka to come to him. Now granted, obviously we know Hisoka's in tier 1, but very interesting roles between Hisoka and Crollo, for sure. That being said, the chapter moves on to the other side of the Phantom Troop, which is Nobunaga, Finks, and Phaeton. And they're dealing with the Shiyu and Kara families, consulting what the hell they should be doing in regards to Haley. And taking all of that information that Nobunaga has deduced after his plenty of interactions and Heinrich's interactions and everything that they've dealt with in the last couple of chapters, Nobunaga correctly deduces that this Haley family that's on the Black Whale is no longer the Haley family that the Kara and Shiyu mafias have been dealing with for the history of the Kaken Empire. Now, traditionally, as we've had not only these mafia members tell us, but also high-ranking members of the princes and even people like Kurapika and Crollo correctly, deduce, traditionally, all three of these Kaken mafia families follow a strict code. Not only are they very complicated in the ways that they handle things and they deal with the different struggles between families, such as different rival disputes or peons picking each other off in emotional outbursts, and it's always followed by offering apologies and payback for when these lesser peons act out, or it's usually almost always according to the leader's plan, because again, it is in the mafia family's best interest throughout this voyage to reduce the other three mafia families' numbers as much as possible, so that way when they get to the Dark Continent, whatever new continent that the Kaken Empire establishes, they are the ones that are able to be on top, and they are the ones that will direct the other two families. So remember, even though they're working together, quote unquote, they are always looking to get one over on each other. But the one thing that they would never do for sure, they may quarrel and they may fight each other, but the Shiyu and the Kara families both confirm that they would never go after innocent civilians for no reason. They are a part of the underground of the Kaken Empire, yes, but they uphold pillars of the political empire. They always ensure civilization runs smoothly, and if anything, they consider the civilians their customers, not useless pawns to kill. Which is the perfect reason why they are very much likely to believe Nobunaga when he says that they are definitely acting out of the bounds of a normal mafia family of the Kaken Empire. The three mafia families are usually pretty by the books. You've got Anyor Longbao, who's the head of the Shiyu. He's the one with the freaking onion head. He's an illegitimate brother of Nasubi Hyugro-ro, the current empire of the Kaken country. And his underboss is Heinrich. Heinrich is the character that uses the Nen ability that is able to turn inanimate objects into animals, and then he can control those animals. We love Heinrich. Heinrich, despite being someone that is opposed to the troop in secret and also deceived them already by sending Hisoka up to the upper layers so the Phantom Troop couldn't find them, Heinrich is someone that is willing to get his hands dirty and even fought with Nobunaga in the Haley headquarters, so we like Heinrich. We don't really know too much from the Shiyu family besides Zakuro and what's her name? The girl that died. She's dead. I don't even remember. She's not important anymore. But their benefactor is the third prince, Zhang Lei, who not only refers to Anyor, the leader of the Shiyu, as his true father, but when they met up at the beginning of the Black Whale voyage, he asked Anyor to provide Zhang Lei with specific information into how Nasubi Hyugro-ro won his succession war all these years ago. And Anyor says it's going to take him some time to provide that information, but he does still say that Nasubi's philosophy was that all things come to those who wait, which is perfect for a prince like Zhang Lei, who we know takes his time with literally everything so far, as we've seen in the Succession War. Other than that, we haven't interacted with Anyor much, but we have interacted with the underboss Heinrich of the Shiyu a lot. You also have Brocco Lee, who looks like a head of frickin' broccoli. He's the head of the Kara Mafia family. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And is another illegitimate brother of Nasubi. Now, we have Tajao, who is the vice boss of the Kara family. And also, he's the military advisor to Prince Luzerus in general, who is the Shiyu's, the Kara family's benefactor. We also have Kenny Wang, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, who is the underboss of the Kara, who's mostly been involved with trying to handle this Phantom Troop Haley madness and hopefully end up on the other side with both of those discrepancies taken care of and written off. And then that way the Shiyu just has to focus on the Kara family and the Haley's just out of the picture entirely. Now, Kenny Wang is the most interesting of these underbosses besides Heinrich, because while Heinrich is very open with his Nen ability, Kenny is clearly aware of Nen, but he hasn't revealed that if he has some kind of ability or anything like that. Now, he does have this rumor that one of the military people mentioned that every person that he smiles at dies, and whether this has something to do with some kind of Hatsu or Nen ability, we really don't know until we find out more. Although he is quite suspicious, because not only is he plotting against the Phantom Troop, he's also very aware that they are gaining on Marina very fast and wonders if she'll pull her trump card out to fight them, her Joker, he says. Now, is he someone that's a double agent? I doubt it. He gets very upset when they mention that they might kill the Kara family boss, but either way, he's an interesting character to say the least. Brocco Lee isn't as involved as his underlings either. They're both of those illegitimate brothers are kind of in the background. And the only other thing that's really interesting about the Kara family is Tajao and Kenny have a secret passage that apparently all mafia families are having access to that lets them go from tier 5 to tier 1 at whatever tier they want to on the boat freely, which is nice. Now, it's interesting because at the end of this chapter, we do see Nobunaga, Finks, and Phaeton follow the Kara family into a door. Now, could it be the passage into higher tiers? Sure, it could be, because they're going directly to tier 1 to try and assassinate Marina, or wherever she's hiding now. But also, Nobunaga finds a door with Kenny that's a secret locked door that Kenny says he'll only reveal to them once their mission is completed of taking out the Haley. Now, the Phantom Troop members are very confused when Tajao opens the door for them. Is it the passage to the higher tiers? Is it some mafia family trump card room? Are they betraying the Phantom Troop right here and now? After giving them that information? I really don't know, but it really could go either way, and I'm really interested to see how this whole mafia plot goes. Nobu went on a side quest. Marina a wannabe Gyro. Isn't it crazy? Like I said, that we could talk about, like, she could literally just be Gyro in his new form. Kite became a girl. Why couldn't Gyro? Heinrich more like Giorno Giovanna. Now, the Haley, since being taken over by Marina Prudo, has acted completely out of turn, as we mentioned before. Not only are they just disrupting the balance that the three families have fought to secure for decades at this point in the Kaken Empire, like, again, they mentioned before, killing other mafia members is a crime in and of itself, but this can usually almost always be smoothed over. It's where they're slaughtering the innocent civilians in mass where they're like, okay, these guys are getting a little crazy. It's directly conspiring against the prosperity of the Kaken Empire, which is very clear, and why the Shiyu and Kara are more than happy to support the Phantom Troop in taking down the Haley completely now, especially if they are not the actual quote-unquote Haley family they once were. Nobunaga is right to think that the Haley family has just completely changed their MO, because they literally have. They've set their sights far beyond mere mafia war. We know that Marina is planning to destroy absolutely everything, kill everyone on the Black Whale, and sink it entirely, metaphorically, figuratively, and literally. And it's part of the reason why they're also able to deduce why they're killing all of these civilians and why they're so gung-ho to do it, because Nobunaga is, again, right. Marina's one simple goal is by spreading chaos throughout the lower decks that will eventually raise to the top tiers with her Contagion Hatsu, the Nen ability that is able to spread through all of her different Haley soldiers and basically just gather copious amounts of strong Nen abilities and users just by slaughtering all the innocent people that they already plan to kill anyway, right? So, like, killing mafia members, other Nen users, all of these innocent people on the lower tiers that no one's gonna miss anyway. It's all easy and fits right into their plan, so why not benefit from it, which is exactly what Phaeton says. As her followers kill people, they gain quote-unquote levels as if it's a video game. They gain 1 level for killing an innocent person. I think they gave 5 or 10 levels and something like that in order for killing a Nen user, and they also gain 50 users if they somehow manage to kill a Kaken Prince, which makes me think that somehow, some way, that chaos will make its way up to tier 1 and into the Succession War, whether people like Hisoka, the Phantom Troop, and the Mafia family act like they want to be involved in the Succession Wars, fan of flames or not. Now, when a Contagion holder reaches the level of 20, they are more than able to develop their own personal Nen ability, although their Nen category is determined at birth. That's why if you're a manipulator, you're a manipulator. If you're a emitter, you're an emitter. You can't change that, but you can at least personalize your Nen ability to some degree, although it's not perfect. And once you reach level 50, you continually gain more and more power, and you get more stronger until you hit level 10, and then you can become a patient zero and spread that Nen to other people and become a Contagion master of your own. Now, again, Phaeton and Finks are able to immediately catch on to all of this, which shows one is how smart the Phantom Troop really is, and it even makes Kenny Wang more sure that he needs to get rid of the Phantom Troop as fast as possible, because the fact that they're able to correctly figure out all of the Haley's evil plans shows that not only are they evil masterminds themselves, that they are capable of doing just as crazy things to the balance of the Kaken Empire if they were the threat. So it just assures Kenny that, damn, you guys are fucking crazy, which I don't disagree. I do not disagree with them on that. But again, it's super cool that Nobunaga was able to deduce all of this just from one mere interaction with the Haley family in their headquarters. Because if you remember, they had to deal with that old man, and I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Gotame? I don't know. He's some insurance scammer. No one cares about him anyway. Some old dude. He had that conjuration ability where he was able to create a double, and he was working with another Haley family member named Vacante, who was the one that created that teleport door. So by creating this booby-trapped room, every person that would walk into the door or get called or lured into the door by Gatame's double would just get brought to the quote-unquote Haley processing room, where there was literally just a group of fully empowered contagion users that just slaughtered everyone that came by instantly. And it was honestly a great way for all of them to quote-unquote grind. It's crazy how it's literally like a video game. And in no time at all, Nobunaga was able to be confident enough to completely deduce Gatame and Vokante's abilities were two separate entire things, instead of what Phaeton and Finks think is maybe like a specialist ability or some kind of conjuration ability that's creating a separate room on top of the previous room. And also, he's able to take advantage of all of this information and break into the Haley headquarters and the quote-unquote processing room with Heinrich with no fear at all, and honestly put up a pretty decent fight against them if they, one, weren't completely outnumbered or thrown out of the room by such hacks Nen abilities like Yokotani's LSDF. That one interaction was more than enough for the troop to get all the evidence they needed to take the Haley family seriously and get the Kara and Shiyu families completely off their backs in regards to following any kind of mafia etiquette. Because again, the Shiyu and Kara families are more than happy to just say, hey, fuck the Haley family, start this all-out war and take them all out, no problem. Because it's just... Marina Prudo, ever since showing up, has just been a complete wild card for the entire flow of the underground process. Despite being the mafia's criminal underbelly, as I mentioned before, like, they do try to support the empire from the shadows. That's why all of the mafia leaders have an illegitimate sibling of the Kaken Emperor leading the mafia family to lead from the shadows. You also have the benefactors that are the princes on the light side. It's literally, we are the light, you are the dark side. They are the leaders in the light, and they are the leaders from the shadow that make sure everything flows. But it's ultimately why, overall, the Shiyu and Kara family are more than happy to have the Haley and Phantom Troop take each other out. Because, again, they are just disruptors of that status quo. The Phantom Troop prove themselves to be just as big of a threat as the Haley, even though they are lesser in number. But they are just as much of a threat. And the Haley family threaten everything that the Shiyu and Kara family have worked to build. So if they can have each other take each other out, they're more than happy to do that. That's why they were very quick to have Ahsoka go right to tier 1. It's why they were very quick to cooperate with the Phantom Troop and get them on their sides. It's also why the Shiyu and Kara family, despite being opposing forces and always looking to stab each other in the back as soon as they can, were willing to work on this one specific moment, because it's just... they can just get both of the pains in their sides removed at the same time. Two birds with one stone. Why wouldn't they? That's the best way they can play it. Because a lot of people are very confident none of the troop members are going to die, but a lot of people are worried some might. Knowing that Shizuku's fortune exists, also knowing that Nobunaga and Heinrich were thrown out of the headquarters so quickly by the outnumbering amount of people the Haley has at their side with insane Nen abilities, who knows how many people could die before Hisoka even gets a chance to fight the Phantom Troop. And considering they're split into two different groups, one side could deal with Hisoka, the other Marina, and this is nothing like York New and the different mafia members of York New. Marina Prudo has been built up way too much to not give the Phantom Troop a hard time. This is the craziest Titanic fanfiction ever, for real. Having someone with teleportation ability seems very important for Marina's final plan. It is, which is why as soon as they lose their first teleportation person, they immediately have to start looking for another one. Vacante was literally like a temporary solution that they had set up because they originally lost their previous emitter. So it makes sense that now that they have Dogman, who I'll be getting into in a minute, that can sniff out people's Nen types, they can specifically look and find people that they can convert. Because something else that I want to get into as well in regards to the Haley family is Marina's possible ability of manipulation. So the final aspect of this chapter that I really want to focus on is Marina's potential of not only having more Hatsu than Contagion, but potentially having some type of manipulation ability that also follows through with Contagion. Because meanwhile, while the Phantom Troop are focusing on planning their quote-unquote assassination of Marina and the rest of the Haley family are doing preparations of their own. Because we know that a lot of chapters ago, after losing a couple people and losing their liaison to Prince Saradnik, the fourth prince who's supposed to be their benefactor and the one that's financing the Haley family, they're not stupid, and they're more than aware that that person was most likely taken out by either Saradnik himself or someone on Saradnik's guard, because he knew that they were betraying them. The Haley family has gone off the rails entirely. And as Nobunaga correctly suspects, they are really not even the Haley family anymore. They are only the Haley family in name. Their modus operandi, reason for existing, and goal for the future has changed entirely, from upholding Kaken Empire prosperity to outright bringing destruction and chaos, not just to the Black Whale and the Succession War, but to the entire world and spreading contagion everywhere. We know that the previous plans that were put into motion by Marina and Dogman are finally underway now that Dogman has been able to grind his contagion level all the way up to 62, which is insane considering he was only at a mere level 31 or something like that the last time we saw him. What they're doing in regards to Saradnik potentially finding out about their descent into chaos. Even though, again, it could just be because Saradnik is so focused on his Nen training, he just doesn't give a shit about his Mafia connection anymore. But it's also possible that what we know with the Shiyu and Kara family getting an okay to take down Marina because she's just not acting in Saradnik's best interest anymore. Marina needs to turn this situation around, because she needs to find a way that she can keep Saradnik not only under her thumb, but make sure she can keep track of his movements. Because with Nobunaga and the rest of the Phantom Troop already finding one of their hideouts and potentially getting on their tail, and that war slowly brewing in the background, the last thing Marina and the Haley family need is for Saradnik and his own personal guard, or whoever else that he's employed, potentially, as we've theorized in the previous videos, Hisoka. I also think there's a really good chance that they just do not want to fight two wars at the same time. So what they originally planned for after Dogman reaches level 50, they want to basically kidnap one of Saradnik's personal guards and convert them over to their side. That way, instead of having this little liaison messenger person that talks between them and just goes back and forth like a little male person, they can actually have someone in Saradnik's quarters that is on their side and not only willing to reveal information, but also probably fight and set up a perfect flanking position that way they could take Saradnik out if they have to. The Haley family has multiple different crazy Nen abilities, and it seems like now with Dogman at level 62, they're going to be able to take their scouting a step further and be able to find not only the specific Nen category that a person has, they're going to be able to find if that person has specifically awakened to Nen or not. Thankfully, because Saddam's ability, he's a level 31, he has a manipulation type ability that allows him to kidnap people and capture them as long as they have not learned Nen yet. So you figure, if we're able to combine this kidnapping ability with Dogman's newly fully improved ability, which allows Dogman to, which again, Dogman could have a lot more Hatsu, by the way. As being a level 62, we really don't know what happens past level 50 besides strength. So Dogman could also have more than one Hatsu, but it seems like Dogman's main ability is to be able to sniff people from afar. He can sniff out a Nen user's type from 5 meters away, whether they're a manipulator, a conjurer, a specialist, whatever. If he gets within 2 meters, he can tell if they've learned Nen or not, or how proficient they are in learning Nen. And then if he's able to actually smell a person's head, he can 100% identify that person with complete accuracy. Now, why is this beneficial to Marina? Because again, if we are scouting people and looking for people to fit into our plan, because again, we know we need an emitter so we can continue up the processing room and continue grinding up levels. We need someone that can teleport innocent civilians to the processing room. But we also might need other Nen types to commit to other Nen abilities that we need for the future. Marina isn't dumb and is definitely thinking about not just the present, but the future specifically. If they can actually kidnap one of Saradnik's soldiers and bring them onto their side, then that immediately clears up one side of their war and they only have to deal with the Phantom Troop. Now, of course, the Haley family soldiers are like, well, how the heck are we gonna get one of Saradnik's guys on our side? And Marina says, you know what? We're just gonna have to give them an offer that they can't refuse. We're gonna have to make them come to our side. Which got me thinking, especially with what the Kara and Shiyu families say about how Marina Prudo took control of the Haley family in the first place. It makes me question, and it makes me think of a lot of different things. Because, for one, if Marina is able to keep all of Saradnik's movements on her radar just by infecting one of his personal guards with contagion, does this mean that Marina is able to track all of the infected users of contagion that she infects? If that's the case, then every single member of the Haley family using contagion, Marina is able to keep tabs on with no problem whatsoever, and may even be able to either sense what they sense or at the very least relay information back and forth between these points. One of the big things that Nobunaga questions is how the Haley family is able to plot and make plans with each other while being so disconnected from each other. And as a patient zero, because right now she's the only person that has reached this point, we still don't know what else she's capable of. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's cut and dry that Marina is going to have more than contagion as a Hatsu. She may have definitely something that allows her to fight in battle, as I think she's going to be a villain that presents much more of a problem than we've been led to believe. But I also wonder, does contagion take away the free will of people once they've been infected? If you think about it, last chapter, Kurapika was worried that Zhang Lei's Nen Beast was creating coins that, over time, by giving them Nen powers, they would slowly and subtly manipulate the person by slowly changing the way their thought processes work to slowly believe and trust and be loyal to Zhang Lei. And I thought that was a direct reference to how Marina's ability works in the underground of things. And if this is the case, are all of these Haley members descending into chaos with Marina because they really truly believe she is their queen, she is the leader that will take them into the promised land? Or after giving contagion, is she completely manipulating these people's minds? Granted, we do watch a scene of Marina gifting Contagion to willing participants in the Haley family, but I wonder if the Haley family has become more cult-like, in that it starts with direct manipulation of Marina's manipulation, making people her slaves through her saliva and playing 4D chess, and then slowly that real manipulation becomes pseudo and subtle manipulation across people that are actually turned over to her side, literally, as opposed to being taken control of. It also makes sense why Dogman would specifically be searching for either a Sorodnik soldier or whoever their target might be that hasn't awoken to Nen yet, because if they've already awoken to Nen, they can't be taken over by Contagion. And again, if Contagion opens Marina up to tracking them, who's to say that the reason why that person may not be sympathetic to their cause in the first place, but after becoming a Contagion user, they are sympathetic and follow Marina, is because of the manipulation aspect. I mean, of course, they could just force their target to cooperate by blackmailing them or threatening them. Who knows? The main reason that I want to tie this all together into one neat bow is something that Kenny Wang mentions in the short meeting he has with Nobunaga and the rest of the Phantom Troop, and that he mentions that they don't know much about Marina Prudo because she took over the Haley relatively recently, and while she definitely is an illegitimate member of the Kaken family, they don't know much else other than that. She's kind of always been in the shadows, and they did think it's weird how the Haley family just immediately converted into loving her and appreciating her as a leader, especially when you consider that the Haley family's original leader had no reason to step down, from the way that Kenny Wang seems to describe it. And it makes me think that if Contagion does have some kind of manipulation aspect, I wonder if you could say that the reason why Marina was able to take over the Haley family, have such stark contrast of goals to them, and take their family into an entirely different direction the moment she takes control. What if this Contagion ability was used on the original Haley boss, and that Haley boss was manipulated by Contagion and then passed on power to Marina and then died afterwards? If Marina really has been making people her slaves this whole time and has been creating a cult of people that follow her because they are convinced by the people around them, or because they're literally manipulated through Contagion, Marina could play a much bigger role as a villain than I think we have any idea how it could possibly go. What would Beyond Netero do if he found out about Marina's plan is what I want to know. Who knows, honestly? It's really hard to say what would happen in regards to Beyond and everyone else. Specifically because we still don't even know if Beyond cares about what happens to the Black Whale at all. Because if, let's say, Pariston and Jing are on a separate voyage, right? Who's to say that Beyond can't break out, skip off the Black Whale once it sinks, and then hitch a ride with Pariston and Jing on their other voyage from the New Continent to the Dark Continent? If Beyond is aware that they're going to drop the Kaken Empire off on the New Continent, he already plans to either separate from either the Black Whale or the Kaken Empire entirely, but I read out the chapter, but Sorodnik friends mentioned there was a purge of some sort that killed off Haley underlings. Yeah, I need to look into that more for sure. I definitely need to look into that. But as all of that is going on with Marina and Dogman, and they go off to go on their mission, the other three members, who I know one is named Damon. I'm not sure what the other names are or who they are, but they have all reached level 51 or higher in the processing room, as they've just been slaughtering more innocents while the Phantom Troop has just been trying to get back and figure out what's going on. It really shows how fast the Haley is able to work and how efficient their teleporting scheme is for the plan that they set out. Marina has clearly thought this contagion ability out super well. Whether she came up with this Hatsu herself or was gifted contagion by someone else and just became a patient zero. They all have hopes of getting revenge on Shiyu's Heinrich, who was the one that took out a bunch of the Haley members before with his pigeon handcuff ability. He got, jumped by a lot of the Haley members out in the open. The one guy who didn't even have like a Nen ability, he just had like a hand that came off to be a hook. So he was also with Nobunaga when they entered the Haley headquarters and they were escorted out by Yokotani's LSDF. So we do know that not only is Dogman on his own mission, but these Haley family members are going to be directly ready for the all-out war between not just the Mafia hunt, as they call it, but the Phantom Troop battle that is about to come. And it makes me wonder as well what that third trump card, that Joker card that Kenny Wang mentions Marina may have might be. Is it another Hatsu that Marina has not revealed yet? Is it another person that she has on her side that we have no idea about? And not only is Dogman potentially looking for the bodyguard that's on Sarodnik's team that will be able to let them keep an eye on Sarodnik, now that Dogman can search out whatever kind of Nen type or Nen user they need for their cause, who's to say that their team, already as strong as it is, doesn't just become 10 times more powerful? I mean, granted, you've already got all of these Haley family members that are almost level 100s on their own. If we get someone else like Marina that can just start spreading contagion even further, this really can become an actual pandemic of evil. Let me see if there's anything else. No, that was pretty much the chapter summary, guys. I think I went over everything that I possibly could have. What do you guys think? Let me know your guys' thoughts. What's the point of ditching the Black Whale if they have a different vessel? They could have just sailed without all the fuss if that was the case. Something important is in there. Well, the thing is they're unable to reach the Dark Continent without four things. They needed the means, they needed the preparation, they needed the funds, and they needed permission. And I think that was the thing. But either way, they needed the entire world to be on board with allowing Beyond Netero's voyage to the Dark Continent in order to permit them into the Dark Continent. Beyond couldn't have gotten to the Dark Continent without that, so that's why Beyond did that. Beyond was not able to go to the Dark Continent without a large group of people and a large group of people that are, one, going to be able to survive the Black Whale voyage and also survive the Succession War with whatever Prince Beyond has invested stocks in. So Beyond is also looking to build a team of people out of this Black Whale voyage that will be able to join him on the Dark Continent, whether that be by awakening the Prince and other people around them, or, you know, harvesting the remaining Nen users that are left. Again, he needed permission from the world to do that. He also, the voyage to the Dark Continent is a dangerous voyage, so it's also quite possible that they needed the Black Whale to get most of their, either their people there, the hunters that he employed, and then the people that are going with Parasite and Jin are either on their separate voyage or they have a way to get off the boat. Either way, we don't know where Parasite and Jin are, so it's tough to say. But I don't disagree with you that the Black Whale is important to some degree. I mean, you have to remember that we also have that panel with Nasubi taking the corpse of Momose and putting it in that big Nen machine. You know what I mean? Which I still need to look into and see what that could potentially be about. Trying to see if I can find that picture. There we go. Excuse me. Sorry. Apologize. It's embarrassing of me. There we go. But yeah, this she is alive even now. With all of these different coffins all leading to the one to power one big thing here. So that is also going to play a large part as well. I don't know how. Been here the whole stream. Feels like it's been 20 minutes. It sometimes it do feel like that. I won't lie to you. Sometimes it does feel like that. It does look like the Garita Island lobby. I thought Haley were some psychotic bums, but after this chapter, especially after Nobunaga's comments, these guys are dangerous, especially because they seem to be learning from their losses. Oh yeah, no, they are a humongous threat, without a doubt. They need to be handled. They need to be handled soon. They're going to run They're going to run the Phantom Troop for their money's worth for sure. They're going to be the first. They're going to be the first big fight the Phantom Troop has that is going to be a struggle for them. The Chimera Ants were like an equal matchup, and even then they kind of took them by storm. This Haley battle, they're going to run into some problems for sure. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button on the stream. It helps the channel way more than you know. Sincerely, it really does. 150 people in stream, 75 likes. Half of you guys haven't even hit that like button. Here's a question. Who would win right now in a fight with everything that they have at their disposal? Who do you think would win? You think she might have a hive mind type ability? That's a really good point too, Lightskin. Actually, that's a really genuinely good. I think Contagion has more to offer than we think. Genuinely speaking, I think Contagion is a little bit more than it leads on. I really, really do tie the two abilities of Zhonglei's Guardian Spirit Beast to Marina's Contagion. Not that they're the same thing, but I can't help but think that the way that Kurapika was worried about Zhonglei's Guardian Spirit Beast and how it might be pseudo-manipulative was meant as a foreshadowing to Marina's Contagion actually being the manipulative one, because they work so similar. Think about it, the coin over time, instead of killing people, right, the coin over time awakens someone's aura nodes, and after a half a year or so, it gives them a supernatural net ability. Whereas Marina's Contagion skips a couple steps, right? It skips the big time length, and as long as they continue to kill people, they get more and more and more and more and more power. So I think it's interesting. Hunter x Hunter is weekly, at least right now it is. Right now it's currently off hiatus. Tagashi, the author and mangaka, has a back injury, but he's been speedily killing the game lately and drawing a lot. So good for him. We love Tagashi. We wish him a speedy recovery. I heard a joke that they finally let him start smoking weed, and he was like, whoa, all right, I can do this now. And honestly, we laugh, we kid, but I wouldn't even doubt it. All right, right now out of who would win, we got Hisoka. That's crazy. Hisoka 55%, Chrollo 45%. We got 20 votes in the poll. Let's get some votes in, guys. I wonder what Nasubi's Guardian Spirit Beast ability is and if it's still at play. It's a really good question. I mean, again, we probably might find out about it because, as I mentioned earlier, Zhonglei specifically asks his quote unquote father Anyor how Nasubi won his succession war, and Anyor says, well, I can't tell you that immediately. It's going to take me some time to get that information. There's a good possibility we may eventually get that information and find that out. What's crazy about it is Hisoka's way stronger than he was in Heaven's Arena, and Chrollo lost 2 of the key abilities he used to beat him in round 1. I'm just saying. I always think it's interesting how easily these matchups can change, because I definitely think Chrollo's biggest handicaps are gone for sure. As I said earlier, I know you just checked in late, but yeah, we talked about how Chrollo's biggest advantage was Shalnark and Kortapi's abilities. That's why Hisoka took them out first. No shit, I drew a high once. Most productive I've ever been. I'm telling you, bro. Good for back pain and good for creativity. Bonolav is so fucked. Bonolanav. I'll one day I'll pronounce that correctly. Bonolanav. Mummy is dead before 2020. Weed makes you lazy and stupid. I disagree. I would not be the person I am today without all the weed that I smoke. Gotta hit that Benjamin sometimes. But I respect it if you don't smoke weed either. You definitely don't have to smoke weed. It's not required. It's a lifestyle. Said classic Nixon propaganda. That's crazy. Now I know a lot of people aren't fans of smoking weed. It hits everybody different. Some people. I used to have a friend that when I was in high school, when he would smoke weed, his ears would ring to the point that it would actually hurt, and like he was not a fan of it. Which I was like, hey dude, I don't even blame you. That doesn't even sound fun. Why the fuck would you smoke weed if it made your ears hurt? Weed probably a boost to Nen power though. That's why Prince Luzerus is the undergun uncrowned hero of the Succession War. Shouts out to all the high functioning potheads. I feel that though. I feel that. But yeah, again, definitely to each their own for sure. You should never make anyone feel bad because they don't smoke weed. Honestly, respect the people that can go through life straight edge and sober. Mad respect. Very sure I just wish people would respect it more. Hey, man, I feel you 110%. Miss Ops in the cannabis industry. That's where she works. You know, her whole career is like trying to end the stigma of cannabis. We did talk about Dogman's new abilities yet. We did talk about Dogman's new abilities. Dogman is the character that everyone has been waiting for. I'm telling you, bro. Everyone has been waiting for Dogman to shine. And the fact that he just has a scouting ability, I doubt it. I think he's got more cooking. I think he's got more cooking for sure. Best boy for sure, indeed. Best boy for sure. Guys, we got 150 people in chat. Only 45 votes on the poll. What's going on? You guys audio only listeners? You guys podcasting? I'm just kidding. I respect all my listeners, whether you listen in audio wise or watch visually. I love my lurkers. Love my lurkers. Who's Marina looking for? I'm pretty sure this is the continuation of Marina and Dogman's plan to kidnap one of Sarodnik's personal guard. I'm pretty sure that's who their target is. Granted, they could be talking about someone else, but the last we left off before Dogman went to grind, she was telling Dogman to search out one of Sarodnik's personal guard and convert him over to their side. It'd be like that sometimes, especially during the day when usually working. So true. I appreciate all my viewers that be stealing time while they watch me. You guys are the real ones. But yeah, I had the fact that I had to write a 5-page essay to take down all of my notes on this chapter. I generally do enjoy Hunter x Hunter, that it lets me like just explore the world in such a way. I love that, like, just trying to make sure I understand every aspect of a certain chapter leads me to like 8 different chapters and 5 different wiki pages and 16 different characters that I have to learn their names of and learn how they fit into the story. Like, the way that Togashi is handling the Succession War is one of my favorite ways for a story to go on. Like, the amount of different moving pieces and different layers, and how certain characters and factions that have nothing to do with each other may eventually run into each other and either become friends or allies just based off of chance, and just based off the fact that all of these different moving pieces are acting on their own, while even though it feels like they're all acting on their own and making their own choices and coherent decisions, it's ultimately swirling into this complex narrative that is so enjoyable to digest and watch. Like, it's confusing, don't get me wrong. You definitely have to pay attention and go back sometimes and look through some things, and a lot of characters that you don't think are important end up being important later, and you might easily forget a major important plot point that was just brushed over in one chapter that gets brought up again 30 chapters later. But like, I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you. It's my favorite way to engage with a story, and it's why I've been so easily able to just sink my teeth into Hunter x Hunter once it came back in. Like, I only read Hunter x Hunter barely even a year ago. I think we were just getting started with like York New, maybe not even, like maybe just getting through the Hunter exam before New York New around this time last year. So to say that it's already become one of my favorite series and I've had so much joy diving into it, the lore is insane. I be loving me some in-depth lore, I can't deny. I don't know much about Hunter x Hunter, but I love Crollo based. Kind of weird that Sari let a woman control his mafia family. Well, again, remember, if we're going based off of what the Shi, Yu, and Kara family said, Marina is new. Is a brand new leader. And she only recently took power in the Haley family. And if we are to assume that Contagion definitely had an Nen ability, and if the Kenny Wang is correct, he assumes that it's possible the old Haley boss was manipulated into stepping down and placing Marina as the new leader. Which, again, if Contagion or one of Marina's Nen abilities is manipulation, it's possible that she could have manipulated the original Haley boss into giving her power. So who's to say that, you know, I mean, Sari didn't have to make Marina the leader, and who's to say that Sari even has a say in who the leader of the Haley family is? He might just finance them and be their benefactor, you know? Even if he did, he clearly had no say in Marina stepping into power. And there's a reason why they're the Haley family in only by name at this point. Marina has completely changed the organization and is running it as something completely different than it once was. That's why they literally talk about it not even being the Haley family anymore this chapter, because it's literally just it's like, you know, like if a band was to come back but they changed all of the members, like there were no original members in a band but they still went by the same name but played different music in a different genre entirely. That's like what the Haley family is right now. Oh man, I forgot you haven't actually experienced a real hiatus after being caught up. It will be painful. Hey, I'm not thinking about that right now. Tagashi is like 20 chapters ahead and is killing the game. I'm hoping he sticks with that pace. Can't complain. Does that mean Marina's targeting Sari as well? It seems like it. It seems like it. Not only is Marina trying to keep tabs on Sari with Dogman's capture, they are going to they're going after everybody. They're looking to take down the Black Whale, the Succession War of the Kakin Empire, and then, by extension, the world. Marina just wants pure chaos, so it wouldn't surprise me that she becomes opposed to Saradnik at some point in time. If anything, she was only playing as a loyal follower of Saradnik, you know, and all just behind the scenes doing what she wanted. That's how we got in the situation to begin with, it seems like. 68 votes. Who would win right now? That's about half the viewers so far. What, we got 140 people in chat. We got about 68 votes. 69, 70. There we go. There we go. That's what we love to see. Hisoka seems to be the winner. 58% coming in. The PDF file wins again. It's thanks to people like you that do analysis on this stuff as most often miss meaning in the moment. Hey, it's easy. This series is tough to pay attention to. And honestly, like I said, there's a reason why, like, you know, my notes for just this chapter alone. I'm not kidding. 5 whole pages. Just paying attention to all the different things. And I had a whole section underneath this that of things that I had to do research on and tie to that I was just able to do research on before stream started and toss into the grand, you know, scheme of things. But yeah, 5-page essay. Crazy. But hey, I wouldn't change it for the world. Wouldn't change it for the world. Said, damn, single space 2. What prince do you think Hisoka's allied with? I definitely talked about it earlier, but I think the most likely prince Hisoka's allied with, it has to be Saradnik. Although, again, it could be any prince. I think it makes sense for Saradnik because he'd be the only prince that wouldn't care that his hunter guard is going rogue and going on their own and not staying in the room or not caring about the war, defending them at all, right? Camilla and Benjamin don't need guards. Zhang Lei doesn't need the guard, and he would care where Hisoka was. Saradnik wouldn't care where Hisoka was. Tyson has all of their hunters reading the book and staying in their dorm. Lucerus has Basho hanging out with him and hired them. Tubepa has their own guards. They would probably care for Ahsoka. Saradnik is the only one that makes sense. And again, I think it makes sense that Saradnik would employ Ahsoka to take care of Haley. But it could be any prince, honestly. It could be such a wild card. But it makes sense that Ahsoka would be able to get to tier 1 just by being employed as a bodyguard to one of the princes. Miriam, maybe, but Miriam had Bellerante, and Bellerante was a hunter, whatchamacallit, was a hunter working with, Miriam, and, Queen Savanti, who was, I think, Miriam's mother, was using the hunters to send to the Nen classes. So I don't think she's letting her hunters run rogue either. Or he could have been a hunter for one of the princesses or princes that died. I want Camilla and Ahsoka to work together. That is a scary duo. And again, like we said earlier, you know, it makes sense that of all the different Nen abilities that Corolla would be on the hunt for, Camilla's Nen ability would be one of them. I mean, that's one of the most OP Nen abilities of all time. I wonder who told Ahsoka about Hulkenberg's ability. I wouldn't be surprised if Ahsoka figured it out on his own. He's a fucking madman. I have no idea how he figures out some of the shit that he does. Ahsoka's gonna want to fight Saradnik the most out of any prince, I think. Exactly. I think it's funny that he says he's not interested in any of the Succession War princes whatsoever. And I'm like, bro, have you seen Saradnik yet, Ahsoka? That's what makes me think that he was employed by Saradnik and then just dipped out early to either go after the Haley or go about his own business, and he doesn't even realize that Saradnik has maximized up yet. Fourth Prince would be using Ahsoka for teaching because he's a hunter and Nen user. It's, who knows? I mean, again, Bono might be wrong. It might not even be a prince that employed Ahsoka. Who knows why Ahsoka does the things that he does. It's honestly, he's a wild card through and through. The biggest wild card we got. Fourth Prince didn't hire any bodyguards, especially hunters. Well, where did Theta and Salkov come from? Fourth Prince definitely hired hunter bodyguards. Unless Theta and Salkov were given to Saradnik by someone else. Which I know that's also possible, but... yeah, Sari might put him onto that animal kink. But alright guys, I think we're going to enter some wind down time. Probably going to end it in like a minute or so. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me for another If You Know, You Know session. I do enjoy these Hunter x Hunter talks, especially getting out all of my crazy different theories and analysis on what the hell is even going on in this goddamn story. If you are on your way out, again, I thank you for watching. Please, if you could, hit that like button if you haven't already. It seriously helps the channel more than you know. It really does. It only takes a second. So please support the channel. Hit that like button. I love If You Know, You Know. It loves you too, Morningstar. They aren't hunters and were bodyguards before the war. Theta, I feel like, is definitely a hunter. But maybe I'm wrong. You might be right. I would never consider myself the perfect expert on Hunter x Hunter. Oh yeah, she's just a temporary hunter. She's just a temporary hunter. Her license expires once they get to the new continent. Fair enough. Like I said, I would never claim to be the best. Oh, and Loud coming in at the end, the buzzer beater with the 10 gifted members. Thank you so much, brother, man. That really helps support the channel more than you know, and thank you so much. helps me be able to do streams like this, and I hope to do way more streams. I hope to keep doing the second channel, which, by the way, quick little promo for the second channel. Subscribe to the second channel if you have not already. That's where you can find all of the Hunter x Hunter segments, as well as Jujutsu Kaisen, old stuff, Dawn to Dawn, Frieren, Bleach, Kagurabachi, Sakamoto Days, everything you could possibly think of. Go subscribe. But thank you so much, Loud. I appreciate the support. Thank you for the dono. I think Kurapika will realize Hisoka's more dangerous than the troop and ally with Chrollo against Sari and Hisoka. That would be crazy. No, Op was literally wrong. Who can I see is the god of knowledge now? I know, right? Dethroned. Fell off. L plus ratio. No one's ever coming back to the stream again. It's over. You don't need to be the expert on Hunter x Hunter. You made a team of experts, and not even we know what the hell's going on. That's just Tagashi for you. Super true. Super true. But yeah, guys, I'm going to keep doing my best to look into this crazy lore. Coming at you every week with this Hunter x Hunter analysis for if you know, you know. And I'm going to do my best to look into some more crazy stuff. I spent a lot of time researching the Mafia this time. So now I really got to figure out what the hell those Nen batteries are, dude. What the hell is Nasubi planning, and what the hell is he up to? Especially now that we know, now that I know that Orion is supposed to give Zangle info on how Nasubi won his succession war. I need that info now. This arc does seem to be leading towards Kurapika having an ally with the spiders to beat Saradnik. Who knows? But alls I know is if Kurapika dies after getting those last eyes, I'm going to be so pissed at Tagashi more than anything in the world. I don't know who Kurapika is going to have to be allying with, but I hope it's... I don't know, but Saradnik's getting harder to beat every fucking day. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for popping in again. I sincerely appreciate it, and I do enjoy doing these streams. I hope you like them too. I thank you so much for just giving me the time of day, and I'm sending you all of that great spirit bomb energy to get you through, whether it's morning, afternoon, or night. I hope you accomplish all of your goals, and if you don't think anyone is in your corner, just know I am in your corner, and I will see you guys simply in the next one. I'm probably going to stream in the next couple of days. You guys already know, if you're a member, we got 20 new members in chat. If you're a member, we have Manga Monday. We're going to be finishing Tokyo Ghoul on Monday, finishing the primary series, and then we're going to kick off the sequel series next week after that. And I think I have a couple of fun streams planned for the next couple of days, maybe some Don't Starve. So keep an eye out for the live streams. And also on Monday or Tuesday, you guys should also be getting the next line of videos in Cartoon Network Akatsuki, Nickelodeon Espada. The two next contenders in the all-out war of nostalgia. The Disney Phantom Troop and the Boomerang CP9. Wait for it. You guys should be getting that soon. Just finished writing it, so I hope you enjoy that kind of content. But anyway, guys, thank you all for everything. Thank you to everyone who donated. I sincerely appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. I can't stress enough how much that helps. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.